All right, welcome back for another episode of Top 10 Toys. I'm sorry it's been a couple of weeks since I've had new content here on Toy Informer, but I just had a lot of things to do with Baltimore Comic Con and getting back to work at my day job, etc. So I didn't have a lot of time to film a lot of shows, but I'm getting back on track and getting all the shows that you guys have been enjoying back up and running on a more regular schedule. So sorry, it's been a little bit, but I plan to get everything back on track pretty soon. Now, hopefully, you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on this tiny little channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything, and you keep telling your friends so we can keep growing this tiny little toy channel because I got plenty more things to cover apart from toys, collectibles, cards. Thinking about doing something with the popcorn buckets pretty soon on World of Weird Collectibles. A lot of fun ideas and a lot of cool stuff that we can still cover and go through together. So hopefully you're on board for all of that. Also, for any of you who haven't tried Whatnot before, now's your chance. Use my link below. First time users, you get a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. While I'm probably going to do a stream pretty soon as I get things more organized, you don't have to buy anything from me. You can spend the $15 with anybody you like on whatever you want. No strings attached. But, it's really up to you. Not only will you help the channel if you do so, you'll also get yourself something nice. So you really don't have anything to lose by giving it a try. Also, if you are into getting your collectible supplies and you need to get some top loaders for your cards, some bags and boards, or boxes for your comics, etc., make sure you use my link and my code below, RENA10 at BCW, to get all of your supplies. And again, get yourself a nice 10% discount while you're there. And with that all said and all that all out of the way, I decided this week, considering the release of the new Joker movie, that is a good topic for us to cover on Top 10 Toys. So we are going to be looking at the top 10 Joker figures right now. So hopefully you're on board for that, as this should be a lot of fun as we go through this list, to see all the cool Joker figures. So if you want to see the top 10, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so as I mentioned there in the open, this week we are going to be looking at the top 10 Joker action figures. Now, I know everybody has their personal favorite Joker at this point. There have been many different versions over the decades, both in comics, on film and books, etc., television, whatever medium you have, video games even. There are different versions of the Clown Prince of Crime, and everybody has their favorites about it. Now, I brought up this topic this week because we got the sequel to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker this week with Joker La Folie du... however you pronounce it. I don't speak French. I really am not interested in this movie whatsoever. Honestly, it's just... I didn't love this. It wasn't bad as a movie goes, the first one, but I didn't love it as much as many of you did. It just didn't hit the same notes because he didn't feel like my Joker. The Joker that I am a fan of. Because again, there are many different versions of Joker, many different renditions of how you play him, whether he be a criminal mastermind, just a crazy nut job, or just a funny guy, comedian, or however you have it. This portrayal in the Joker movie that Todd Phillips gave us, apart from just being a Scorsese knockoff, it just felt like he just lucked into everything that happened to him. He didn't seem like a genius. He didn't seem like a mastermind at all. He just got lucky that there happened to be a riot when he was getting arrested and he got away. Like, it just stumbled into everything. They didn't even hint at the idea that maybe he was somehow pulling the strings in any way and planned this out. So that was my biggest complaint with the movie. That said, that's not why we're here. And again, I know many of you are a fan of Joaquin's portrayal of the Joker. I mean, he won an Oscar. He did a good job in playing that role. It just wasn't my favorite. I know many of you probably lean towards the Heath Ledger version of the Joker. And also, this was the one I also kind of connected with too. It wasn't exactly the Joker I had in mind, but it was a very cool, the anarchy, chaos, kind of really off balance, made you kind of unsure what this guy was capable of. That I did like. And I like that for Heath Ledger's portrayal. I know, very divisive. Many of you dislike Jared Leto's version, but others did like it. If you get past all the tattoos and the weird teeth and all that, you put all that stuff aside, he didn't really wasn't that far off base in playing a Joker. He was a version of the Joker, right? And I know many of you, like myself, are still very fond of Nicholson's version of the Joker. And as you can see, all four of these I've given you so far are all very different characterizations of the same character. And the toys we're going to get into also kind of represent that. But we're not done, because we can go back even further. And even though he didn't want to shave his mustache, Cesar Romero's version on the Adam West Batman show was another version of the Joker, where, yes, he was a little bit more on the sillier side, but that's because that was the tone of the show and of the times. So, yeah. And at the same time, many of you think the real version of the Joker is Mark Hamill's portrayal of him in the animated series. And yes, there have been other versions of animated Jokers throughout the years as well, but Mark Hamill's the one I'm going to spotlight here. Point being, the Joker is many different things to many different people. And they kind of hinted at that with the Three Jokers, that series that they were writing, which still didn't make a whole lot of sense. The point being, the Joker has been a lot of things over the years, and many of us pick out our favorite bits, and we gravitate towards all of those. But he is a character that is very, very popular and is many people's favorite. That said, those are the television movie versions of the characters, but we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the toys. And before we get into the actual toys, I'm going to make sure that you understand that we are not going to be going over those, not going over any hot toys, sideshows, etc., because some of those are not only pricey to begin with, it's a different type of collector. Like, I love them. I don't have any of these hot toys or anything like that, or sideshows, because they're just more expensive than I'm willing to pay for an action figure. But I can appreciate the beauty and the sculpts and like the hair and everything, the soft goods, all the clothes. I can appreciate all that. I just don't have the disposable income to go and spend $200-300 on an action figure, nor do I have a nice place to display them. So that is a completely different animal. We are not covering any of those in what we're doing here. We are going to be covering more of the off-the-shelf type of action figures that most people have access to and collect. Now, with that all said, and those guys out of the way, again, fancy schmancy, couple $100 buy-ins, we're not covering those. We're going to go into, again, more of the off-the-shelf guys. But let's start off first with our honorable mentions here. And with that, let's just get right into it with one of these first couple of figures here as we do our honorable mentions. I believe I got two of them in here for you, so we're just going to cover two real quickly before we get into the actual top 10. First one being, I've mentioned a lot of different mediums and a lot of different versions of the Joker. And one of those mediums that had a very specific and unique looking portrayal of the Joker was from the video games, the Arkham Asylum video game version of the Joker, which very dark, kind of hot topic-y, and, exaggerated because it was a video game after all. Pretty cool rendition. But way back in, 2011, I believe that DC Direct gave us the first version of this Arkham Asylum Joker. I believe they reissued it a little bit later, also under DC Direct, unless it was DC Collectibles, because they kind of changed their names, during that decade. But this is the figure featuring that Joker with his pinstripe suit, unique, not unique, classic look, something we all think of. The purple suit is what we think of with the Joker. And this one came with a little Scarface doll as well. I mean, he doesn't really go with the Joker, but for the game, it made sense. Now, this figure is on the outside looking in as an honorable mention because, well, average sales on this, if you can still find it in the package. We're not covering loose ones today. I'm only going to be figuring in on the in the package kind of sales. So that's what we're looking at here. And this would be just about $45. If you could find one of these, or if you held on one of these Series 1 2011 Batman Arkham Asylum Joker figures, you're looking at about $45, which, considering the MSRP on that thing was probably like 20, or maybe even a little bit less. We're talking almost 15 years ago. That's not too bad of a return. So you can see how some of these collectibles have gained a little bit of value. We're not talking you're going to get rich and you can go retire on a lot of these things, but still, it's kind of fun. If you can find a toy for $20 or less, especially now if you're collecting it, secondhand, maybe you find something cool. Maybe you find it at a good deal. Like our next one. I got another honorable mention for you. And this one is another a collectible one here. This time it is the animated version of the Joker. So you can see here this rendition. They made a couple of these. This is from Batman The Adventures Continue cartoons. Yeah, it's a little bit later in the run. This one came out in 2015 when, again, DC Direct changed their names over to DC Collectibles, and that's where you would get this figure. Again, cool animated style, very very well detailed, and this thing, if you were able to hang on to it, would get you almost $60. I mean, 57.48 ain't too bad of an average for a Joker figure these days. So yeah, this is kind of cool. And even with that, kind of yellowish orange packaging, it's kind of pops, especially with the green and purple of the Joker's, look. And you got the fish. You also got the fish in there. All right. With that said, those are our honorable mentions just to kind of warm us up and get you in a sense of what we are here to cover and to talk about. Let's now settle in and get into the actual top 10 figures for this list. So if you are ready, let's just not waste any time and just get right into it with our first one.
Number 10.
Our first figure coming in is this DC Multiverse McFarlane figure. Yes, McFarlane has made many a DC figure over the last couple of years, and many of them actually aren't worth anything. They sell for much cheaper. You'll find them in Ollie's. They're cheaper than the cost because he makes so many figures that many of them just can't maintain that initial value. But some, like we have here, the Joker, the comedian, part of that three Joker aspect. Remember, I mentioned it earlier. They did that storyline where there was kind of the comedian, the criminal, and I forget what they called the last one. It was like the anarchist or something, maybe. I don't know. But three different versions of the Joker. This being the comedian, kind of has the hat and the look from our classic times of the Killing Joke, the crowbar from taking down Jason Todd, etc. You even got the Killing Joke camera there with the hat. Classic look of popular time for the Joker for many. This figure came out though part of the 2021 run, so only a couple years old. You might even find these on shelves somewhere out there at some old discount store or something like that. You go to an Ollie's, maybe. Who knows where you might find this? But you possibly can, because this initially on the shelf at number 10 here would have cost about $20, because that's kind of what the McFarlane figures go, 20 to 25. Again, don't get too focused in on the MSRP. This is just the best I could find with so many of these figures, because a lot of that information isn't easy to kind of nail down, because different stores do different prices. And while they suggest retail prices, like Walmart's weird. Like, they don't do 99. They do weird, change percentages. Like, we're 64 or $19.64, so we're cheaper. It's just odd pricing. Point being, for about $20, you could get this awesome. Again, look at that figure with the sculpt. You got the little tie there on his trench coat. He's got the camera, just like the Killing Joke with the hat. Awesome look. This figure, if you could find one, or if you have one, could get you over $60. We're talking about $62.50 on average for this Joker the comedian figure, which again is kind of impressive for a toy that's only a couple of years old, that would have been on the shelf with many other figures that have all found their way to clearance racks. So again, with the sheer number and the sheer volume of figures that McFarlane's producing, only a handful of them actually seem to have any aftermarket interest and value. But that's not unique to him. Like, that's been the case throughout the years and throughout the decades of us collecting toys. Not every toy is worth something. Sometimes it's only one or two out of an entire run of 10 to 20 different figures. It's just the nature of the beast, the nature of the hobby. People will gravitate towards the one that they want. And then the supply and demand takes over, and then we get these crazier, higher prices. But with that, we're going to leave it there. That was number 10 as we roll into our next one.
Number 9.
In at number 9, we have a classic, the Dark Knight Collection Sky Escape Joker, in the vein of the Nicholson Joker era. As you can see there by the card back, we have a Joker with a little helicopter backpack and his very long pistol there as well. Kind of fun, right? This came out way back in 1990, so just after the original Batman 89 movie from Tim Burton. Joker, as we're gearing up, I guess, towards Dark Knight Returns and the second movie, they still had more toys getting pumped out at that time. And this is one of those tougher to find ones, because again, it came in that in-between time of when it wasn't the movie being on screens at the time, a little bit after the fact. So we have this figure here, from Kenner in 1990. And again, you can see the little helicopter backpack. You got the long pistol there in hand. The sculpt isn't too bad. I mean, it does kind of look more like the Cesar Romero Joker face than the Nicholson face to me, but you get the idea. The suit and the outfit is kind of close to what Nicholson was rocking in the movie, so we get that. But if you had one of these or still have one of these and it's still in that package, it's pretty close to our number 10. It is very, very close. We're talking pennies difference, basically. But this is another one that is about $62.50 if you can find one, or if you have one on average, still in the package, as long as the package is in decent shape. So pretty cool Joker figure there if you can find one, in a good condition like that. So with that, we're going to jump on to our next one and see what we got in at number 8.
Number 8.
Mentioning the Killing Joke, there was a 2-pack with Batman that focused in on the Killing Joke. This collector set that came out of DC Direct in, what year did this come out? 2008. So 2008, DC Direct, you got a 2-pack of the figures, and there was the comic inside. There was a reprint of the Killing Joke inside this, but you get the Joker with the hat and the camera in his Hawaiian shirt, just like in the comic itself, as well as a Batman to face off against with him, as they have these nice little Killing Joke stands, as you can see them standing on. Sculpts on these are both really nice. The MSRP at the time from DC Direct was about $35. So $35 for a 2-pack isn't too terrible. And we were talking, these are what, like 6-7 inch figures thereabouts. So good size figures, good sculpts. They got some articulation there, so you can pose them up. I mean, not as much articulation as we might get today, but still not bad for the time back in 2008. I mean, 15 years ago or so, that ain't too bad. But this one, if you still have one in the box, you still have it with that comic inside, it's coming in at number 8, because this one is about $66.50 on average. So almost double that initial buy-in price, which ain't too bad, for all things considered. Now, with that, let's keep this show rolling and get on to lucky number 7.
Number 7.
And coming in next, we have the Heath Ledger version of the Joker, as you can see here. Again, I showed you all of the movie TV versions because we're kind of hitting them all up in the action figure versions, too, of those different eras. So here we have the Heath Ledger version that was part of the Build-A-Figure for Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Granted, this Joker would be coming from, the Dark Knight, and you can see there we got the stacks of cash. You got a bunch of different hands. You got a Bane head as part of the Build-A-Figure. There's even a Joker Why So Serious card there in the background. Awesome look. He's got the cool suit on, the secondhand kind of hand-me-down, Goodwill store kind of look, because that's kind of what Ledger was wearing at the time. But again, let's take a look inside at all this stuff. This came out in 2023, so this one's only about a year old. This one could still be on shelves somewhere near you, and you might do well with that. I mean, there you go. All the different hands. You got the cash, you got a stand, you got the card. Pretty good sculpt, considering this is an over-the-counter type of buy that would cost you about $25 if you buy it. There you go. Again, we got a nice little look at the sculpt. He's got the chain there with his pinstripe pants. Now, it is no hot toy or sideshow version or NECA or something like that. This is just more your regular run-of-the-mill action figure for $25, but still pretty good sculpt on this thing, if you ask me. Now, if you find one of these, or if you have one of these, this thing will get you over $70, which is why it's coming in at number 7. So over $70 for a figure that's not only about a year old, that ain't too bad. This is something you might actually be able to go to the store this weekend and go hunt. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know how often they restock your shelves or any of that by the stores that you go by you. Any Targets, Walmarts, whatever chain stores you got near you, or wherever you're buying your toys, just keep an eye out for it. It doesn't hurt. I mean, you could even look at these second hands at flea markets and those other kind of like little side toy stores, etc. Maybe it's just underpriced, because this thing, again, on average, $70 ain't too bad. Now, with that said, let's keep it rolling and get on with our next.
Number 6.
And coming in at number 6, we have another animated series version of the Joker. This time, it's all holiday themed. Look at that. Holiday Joker. Fun stuff. Joker with a Christmas hat. I almost put on my Joker t-shirt. The only Joker t-shirt I could find was my Joker holiday t-shirt, because I do have a Christmas Joker shirt. But it just didn't seem appropriate yet. It's only October. Let's get through Halloween before we start even thinking about Christmas. I know my wife loves Christmas. She loves Christmas decorations, but I'm saying just give me through Thanksgiving and then we can do whatever you want. Christmas it up. We'll hang on to all that stuff through, MLK for all I care. But just let me get through, Halloween and Thanksgiving before we jump ahead. Anyway, Holiday Joker here also came out of DC Direct in about 2008, and he comes with all this cool stuff. Look, he's got like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, which is kind of fun. You got a candy cane, you got a little doll there, and a bunch of different hands, and just a creepy look on his face as he's got his little red cardigan on. Nothing says the holidays like a nice cardigan. This figure, again, 2008. MSRP was about $25, which is kind of seems pricey for the time, but it was a collectible type figure, and you can see there you got that big old grin, the big old smile, and that sweet cardigan with the purple pants. Now, if you happen to have this figure, or held on to this figure, or stumble across this figure, this one can get you just over $82 these days. So $82 for a figure still in the package. And we're not talking about graded or anything like that. I know AFI and all, that's it, AFA, all those grading services for toys. Yeah, that's a whole different animal. We're not getting there either. Just talking about in the package, decent package, could get you about $82. Not too bad. Not too bad. So with that, let's just keep this thing rolling and get into our top 5.
Number 5.
All right, coming in at number 5. This one is like kind of a bigger piece. This is a scene. This is the Joker in the interrogation scene. It's a gold label McFarlane figure. So, McFarlane, I mean, they seem to be slapping that gold label on just about everything. So I don't know how impressive or how hard it is to find these gold label things, because I see them all the time. My dad ends up bringing me discount Ollie's, at $5. Got this McFarlane figure if you want it. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with that? Well, I need Lex Luthor in this weird ass Superman armor. I don't need this. But, you find stuff. Again, he makes so many. McFarlane makes so many. A lot of these end up on discount. This one probably didn't because, again, Ledger Joker is a big draw for a lot of folks, and you get a lot of cool stuff with it. Look, there's another card inside this one. This one also came out in 2023 as part of the DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys. 2 chairs, table, a stand if you want to stand them up, a couple of different sets of hands, and that Joker card with him holding up, Batman there on there. So pretty cool. This would have run you, if you bought it off the shelf, about $40 because it is, again, it's a big scene. You're getting a desk and all this extra stuff, which seems pricey, but not too bad. Here we got the chain there. He's even got the phone from, you remember he had to put the phone and the guy. Belly hurts. Great movie. I don't need to tell you all about it, but $40. Then today, if you found one, average $93.16. So over $90, almost $100 for this thing in this nice little box set. I would be tempted to take it out, but at the same time, you see the nice, background there. You have the brick walls, and it seems like you're in the interrogation room. But I'd still kind of want to display this somewhere if I had the the ability to. And that might cost you a little bit, but a lot of these boxes you can open them and you can still put the figures in and take them out. Yes, it might hurt your resale value a little bit because it's not brand new, sealed, but still kind of fun. And I don't know, I like taking things out of their packages where I can, because toys. Yeah, granted, I'm an adult. I'm not gonna play with them, but they're still kind of cool to display. Just see them outside of the box with all their little accessories, etc. But with that said, that was number 5. Let's not linger on any longer and get on to our next one.
Number 4.
And at number 4, we have a giant figure. This is the Titan Joker, again, from that Arkham series. So Arkham Deluxe figure. They made a few of these. They actually remade this figure, I think, 1 or 2 times. So there are different sculpts for this, a couple of different molds, repackaging. But this is the original one that came out in 2012 as part of the DC Collectibles line. Because, again, McFarlane has reissued this one since then with a little bit of a different sculpt. But this is the original. And there, I put this picture in here to give you a sense of the size of this figure because he is standing there with the normal, 6-7 inch Batman. That's the size of this beast, this big old, Titan Joker from 2012. Granted, this huge figure, a lot of plastics, got some heft and some weight to it, would have run you a hefty $70 to buy. Yeah, because, it's like a 12-inch figure. So it is huge. It's big. But $70 is a kind of a high price tag. Seems like, man, well, so what? It's worth like $90. No, it still would have made you about $90 because if you have one of these originals, again from the 2012 version, not the McFarlane off the shelf one, which is not nearly as expensive, but the original 2012 one could get you $156. So one of these sell for almost $200, one for a little bit cheaper. Basically, again, the average is a little over $150. So 156.25 for this Titan Joker. It's impressive. Again, this is a big figure. It's a big guy. It's a 12-inch figure, so it's going to be a big old box. But with that said, that hefty price tag, 150, is why it's coming in at number 4, which leaves us with our top 3.
Number 3.
And at number 3, we are looking at, again, I just covered this before I took my little hiatus, Kenner Superpowers. So the 1984-85 Superpowers figures. There was the original Joker. This was one of my original Joker figures growing up. I said one of because there's still another one I had before this. But this one was a lot of fun. You had the hammer, the Joker. You had the action. Remember Superpowers? They had the action. You squeeze his legs and he starts swinging the hammer. Pretty cool stuff. I wish he had the hat like they have in the picture, but what are you gonna do? Still a pretty decent sculpt as it is. This came out in 1984, part of Kenner Superpowers. As I said, you got the Joker hammer, purple suit, as we all remember, and it's a decent sculpt again for a cheap figure of the time. Like this is the Joker, right? This is the Joker we remember. This would have run like $5 or less. Again, at the time, you're talking KB Toys, Caldors, Bradley's, James Ways, wherever you're buying toys. There were so many different department stores back then. They all had competitive pricing, and a lot of things went on clearance and on discount. So some of these $5 figures were really only for like $2.70, $3, $4, etc. Bottom line is, you think of roughly about $5. If you somehow still had one of these or could find one of these still in a package today, 1984, that's almost 40 years ago. It's 40 years ago now. Wow. 40 years ago. I'm old. Point being, this Joker didn't make my top 10 for Superpowers, but he makes the top 10 of his own list, $210. And it's got the little mini comic behind him, too. Don't forget the mini comic. But still, $210 for a Joker in the package. Because, again, he was one of the more popular figures of the time, so they had plenty of them out there. You find a lot of these loose out there as well. And, yeah, you can get a few bucks for them, but if you want it in the package, that's $210. And that's why it's at number 3, which leads us to our next one.
Number 2.
And in second place, we have probably my original Joker figure. This is the Mego figure. A bunch of my Megos were hand-me-downs from I had older cousins and an uncle who was only a few years. He was probably like 8 years older than me, but still, I had a lot of hand-me-down toys as a kid, and a bunch of these Megos I think were handed down to me because I don't think I got this when this initially came out in 1974 because that was before my time. But I still had this figure. I had Batman. I had a crap load of Megos, and they were cool. It was annoying when the soft good clothing got stuck in the joints of their gears and strings and everything. Like the Hulk was the worst because of those torn up pants. The strings got all caught up in his joints and all that stuff. So it was pain. But Joker, awesome stuff. I mean, he had the jacket again. It's the classic Joker look. 1974 Mego. This cost all of $2.19. That's one little sticker price. I had to do research again. There's no easy spot to find MSRPs for toys that came out 50 years ago. But you look at some old pictures, you can see some of the old price tags still on some of this stuff. And I saw Mego that was priced at $2.19. So we're going to throw that out there as one of the MSRPs of the time. $2.19 for this. They were probably like maybe 7, 8 inches tall, maybe 8 inches tall. I can't really remember. I mean, they were bigger than your normal figures and not quite as tall as a Barbie, but that's the kind of vibe you always got as a kid. You got the Barbie vibe because of the clothing, and they're more doll-like than action figure-like, with a G.I. Joe or Star Wars figure being completely different than what the Mego was offering us. But still, if you still found one of these in the box, granted, these came in boxes. These also came carded, but the one that I'm looking at here is the boxed figure, 8 inch. Oh, there it is, 8 inches. And they also reissued these not that long ago. They had some 50th anniversaries for these Migos. But this one, as you can see, they're the price almost $240. If you can find one of these in the box. Granted, it could have been put back in the box to also make sure that everything is there because he's got the jacket. Some of these things, Migos, they had like boots or shoes, etc. But Joker, one of my favorites. Again, one of my firsts for this action figure. I always look back on this fondly. But it is not the top dog. It is not the top dog on this list. That one is coming up next.
And our number one.
Now, our number one figure is one I did not have, and this is the Joker Expressions Pack. I know what you're thinking. It looks like a collectible set. It's like, well, that just shouldn't count. It's got like 3 or 4 figures in there. Nope. This is just one figure. Granted, it's got more than half a dozen extra heads that you can swap out, and arms and jackets and other accessories and hands. You could really do this figure up many different ways. I mean, I don't want to do the math here, but look, there's 7 extra heads right there, a couple extra hands, and jackets, suits, etc., pistols, joke pistols, etc. Many different options. Here's a look at the stuff inside. Oh shoot, this is not Mego from 1974. Sorry, I screwed that one up. This came out with all those animated series, more of those DC collectibles of the time. But look at all of those heads. I got many different expressions on those faces. Little Joker grenades. 4 different pairs of hands. So that's 8 different hands you can put on this thing, and an inflatable ducky. What more do you need? What more do you need? This wasn't cheap when it came out. It was about $40 for a single figure, but all of these extra accessories, again, with all of those faces, look at those expressions. You can set this up any number of ways and change it up, as often as you like. If you have it on display, you can change them up. Say, all right, well, you know what? This month I feel like having, more of a goofy look, more of an angry look, etc. Yeah, it's up to you. You got these options. And just to give you a sense of some of the things you can do with it, here's a couple other display pictures. Again, you got different reactions. You can set them up, pose them up a number of different ways with your Batman or not. Awesome stuff. I mean, the animated series was not only one of the best renditions of The Dark Knight, it was also one of the best Jokers, to be honest. So with that said, this one is coming in at number 1 as it outpaces the Mego in the box by a bit. And this one is $238.67. So almost $250 for this figure that does have 32 pieces. 20 years ago, it was 1998 to 2018. So this came out in 2018 from DC Collectibles. So it's not all that old. Who knows where you might stumble across something like this? I mean, old comic shop somewhere near you. Maybe they just got this on a shelf somewhere. They just couldn't sell it at the time because they focus on comics. Not a lot of toy collectors in that area. Who knows? Who knows where you might find something like that? But the point being, this is our number 1 Joker figure for the time. And hopefully you enjoyed this list. And that's all I got for you this week. I'm debating next week doing Harley, since that's the other half of this Joker movie. Maybe we can do the Harley figures for next week. And then it still gives us time before we get to Venom. As the Venom movie is also coming out this month. We also can probably do something horror themed before Halloween. I can go to those old school Remco Universal Monsters because I love those figures as well. So still plenty more to come here on the channel. Just hopefully I got the time to get all of these shows and get all this content done for you. Hopefully you're on full. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate all the support and plenty more coming your way. So don't forget us here and keep telling your friends so we can keep growing. All right. And with that all said, I'll see y'all later with some more content. All right. Bye.